Hey there, YouTube. I want to talk more about the T-Rex arm situation because as time has gone on, it's starting to get interesting, at least to me. I know some of you guys are like, I don't like drama. I don't like drama. Whatever. I love drama. I love it. And like I said, this situation to me is getting pretty interesting. The silence from T-Rex arms is deafening at this point. They have not posted a whole lot. I imagine they've got something in the hopper. They've got something in the works because they're going to have to say something. But I think they've figured out that sending Brandon Wombat out there, Brandon Wombaugh, basically his line, as I suppose he's their new front man, he's saying, no Christian principles were being violated, guys. No Christian principles are violated. That's not super persuasive, you know. It didn't really move the needle with a lot of people. And it's pretty obvious why. If somebody's like, hey, Ben, what did you do last night? And they're kind of have an accusatory tone. If I said, hey, no criminal statutes were violated, okay? I didn't do any crimes. And I'm so offended that you would imply that. You'd be like, well, that's kind of weird. That's kind of some weird shit to say. Whereas if I was like, oh, I was binge drinking and chasing women and doing a bunch of degenerate shit. That would, maybe you don't want to hear that, but at least you'd be like, okay, at least he's telling me something. So I think that the T-Rex guys have figured out that Brandon Wombaugh's angle of attack on that was not very good. As an aside, I hope they're paying him more money for the shit that he's been taking. They should at least have doubled his pay from whatever he was getting before. All right. Also, not super interestingly, but noteworthy, Kleon Noir, however the fuck you pronounce his name, that dude weighed in on it. I don't really watch much of his stuff. I think he's kind of a useless shill, to be fair. And going over to his video, I did watch the whole thing. It was 35 minutes of basically nothing. He clearly doesn't really like Lucas. I think he's butt mad that Lucas was basically calling him out for shilling for the NRA back when that's what he was doing. Here's maybe my favorite comment. 25 minutes into a 35-minute video on Lucas, I don't have any opinion on Lucas. Yeah, I mean, that video is 35 minutes of nothing. Not worth your time. But I did take a look at y'all's comments on other stuff, and I heard they're like, hey, John Lovell has a good take on this. Now that's the Warrior Poet Society guy. I've never listened to any of his stuff before. I don't know the guy or know much about him. But I did fire up that podcast and listen to it, and that one was interesting. Why? Because very clearly he's carrying water for the other Botkins, probably Isaac in particular. I don't really know, but he's clearly carrying water for them. Clearly. And he doesn't say it explicitly, but he all but says it. He explains his relationship with them. He likes them. Blah, blah. I mean, blah, blah, blah. And he's his messaging was meant to help them, it seems to me. So that was interesting to listen to. Now, again, I've never listened to this guy's shit. Warrior Poet Society, that doesn't really, on the face of it, appeal to me. I don't really like war. I think poetry's fruity, and I'm a little bit antisocial. Why would I care about this? Right? So it was good. I got a fresh look at it, a little bit unvarnished. I'm gonna be real. This guy seemed like a twat to me. I don't like him. He seemed like a shyster. So let's get into it. I actually took notes on what he had to say. And again, this is interesting to me because what he's messaging, I would just hang it on the other brothers. I'd be like, this is what they're messaging. Like, this is what they're saying. These types of ideas and messaging, I'm like, oh yeah, he's carrying water for them. All right, so Lovell's thing opened up with infighting is bad and we should rally together behind the Second Amendment, like that type of typical shit. And then he started talking about giving people the benefit of the doubt. Benefit of the doubt is a mark of maturity. Yep, that's what he was saying. And to me, that's interesting because if you take the 30,000 foot view of the T-Rex thing, you're like, okay, Lucas started this in his garage, ends up not with majority control of it, tries to buy his brothers out, ends up quitting, has the like puts the story out there. It's like, all right, are there doubts as to the specifics of what happened here? Sure. Like I don't really know. I mean, who knows all the specifics? But the big picture, the 30,000-foot view, it's pretty obvious here. These guys are cornholing Lucas. Like, you know what I mean? So they don't have a lot of doubt about that. And then the fact that they don't really have anything to say, it's kind of like, okay, I can see what's going on here. And then, of course, the other stuff, putting Wombaugh out there as the front man, that kind of stuff. Weird. All right. Then Lovell kind of got into Isaac's statement about he played it. He played, I mean, it was only like a 2-minute video, 3-minute video, something like that, but he played it on the podcast, listened to it, and he said, oh, this is good. This was nice. They're being nice about Lucas. They're being professional. Where if you watch that video and you look at Isaac's demeanor, it's kind of like, I don't really think he believes anything he's saying right now about it. It's like, oh, I'm really, really looking forward to seeing what Lucas does in the future. It's kind of like, I don't think he believes what he's saying right now, and I don't know why I should. Okay. He then got into Lucas's statement, which he didn't play it. He didn't play the statement, didn't play any excerpts from it. He didn't like that it was 30 minutes. He said, like, right on the face of it, didn't like that it's 30 minutes because he's putting too much out there. And I think, like, it's just kind of like he wants Lucas to not be talking about this stuff in public, which I'm sure that's the same line Lucas is getting from his family, like, just to keep him quiet. And that's where I'm like, huh, that's pretty interesting that he's messaging the same stuff. Now, Lovell had, I don't know the guy's name, but he had some sidekick on there that seemed like kind of a yes man. But he said something and John seemed to agree with it or tacitly agree with it. And I thought this was a really interesting statement. They're like, Lucas says how he feels and says whatever he thinks is true because he's autistic. That's what they said. I was like, what? And if you think about that, you're like, imagine your worldview is twisted enough that you think someone says how they feel or says what they think because they're autistic. Like that, you have that kind of view if you're one of the content creator peoples that's always tried to wordsmith everything and manage people's opinions of you and just trying to present a certain face or trying to take an angle of attack on an issue that's gonna not offend people in a certain way or whatever. That really jumped out at me. I was like, huh, what a weird thing to say. Like, what a weird point of view. All right, let's keep going on. He was, John was unhappy that Lucas wouldn't buy from Trex. He said, Lucas, like, hey, I won't buy from Trex anymore because I don't like the leadership. And it was just kind of like, yeah, like, I don't really blame Lucas for feeling that way. Sounds like these guys kind of cornholed him. All right. And then one thing they talked about a lot on this podcast was gossip. Like, oh, talking about this stuff in public. Look, that's gossipy. You shouldn't do the gossip thing. And it was in the context of like a 30, let's see how long it was, 35, 37 minutes. Did a 37-minute episode talking about this, but doesn't like gossip. It's like, bullshit, bro. Like, you're running, like, if it's not, you're not doing gossip. You know, like you're running cover for the brothers right now. Like it's crazy. All right. Another thing I noticed was he claimed that like John's view is like, oh, Lucas is not owning anything wrong. He not owning up doing anything wrong. And that wasn't my view of Lucas's statement. I listened to that twice and I listened to Lovell's thing twice, to be fair. Listened carefully. I parsed it out. Lucas doesn't act like he did nothing wrong. Like he says he signed this. He's like, yeah, he signed the agreement. It was dumb. He didn't say explicitly it was dumb, but it's like tacitly in there. He's like, yep, he signed it. He's abiding by it. That's what he's trying to do. Lucas doesn't come off like he's made no mistakes, right? I think what was powerful about Lucas's statement about why he left Trex was that he's owning up to, like, he's saying he made mistakes. He's saying he learned he would do it differently in the future. He's explicitly not pretending that he did everything right. Yeah. Now, another thing John said is that Lucas doesn't play well with others. He doesn't have many friends in the industry, but John Lovell, John's his friend. John's like, for one, I don't believe John's his friend. I don't believe that for a minute. That didn't come off as credible to me. I'm like, I don't buy. I don't see how you're friends with the other guys, the other brothers in this, the other part of the Bodkin crew, and friends with Lucas. That doesn't seem possible to me, especially not at this point. And I just don't believe he's friends with Lucas, especially when he's like, oh, Lucas doesn't have friends in the industry, like many friends in the industry or whatever. Let me tell you, most people I know that have a ton of friends in the industry, they're fucking wankers. They come off like this John guy where you're like, I don't really believe what this guy's saying. He seems like a smarmy type of huckster. Like I wouldn't like this guy. I can just tell that. And like the people I know in the industry that I really like, it's not like they get along with 75 or 80% of the industry. There's a lot of wackos in the industry. You know what I mean? So that I noticed. I also noticed that Lovell was fine with the prenup thing and just felt like, oh, Lucas shouldn't have put that out there in public or whatever that was kind of his angle, that Lucas shouldn't have been talking about that in public. It wasn't a big deal to him. That was just housekeeping. It's how he described that. And it was just kind of like, no, dum. It's very telling. It's very telling that these guys like have a financial arrangement that they form with Lucas, and he's like, handing over equity to his brothers just kind of willy-nilly. And Lucas says he didn't really understand the implications of what he was doing. I kind of believe that, because who the hell would knowingly do that, understanding the implications of what they were doing? It'd be stupid. Based on the situation that was described, that would make no sense. So when somebody acts in a way that doesn't really make sense or goes against their own best interests, it's pretty fair. Like, yeah, I don't think he really understood what he was doing. But as soon as he's going to get married, then it's very clear the brothers understood what was going on because they wanted a prenup. Like that, I mean, to me, that all tracks. That totally makes sense that these guys understand they're cornholing Lucas. Obviously. One thing I really didn't like about also about the Lovell podcast was talking about the illicit photos sent to Lucas's wife. Like he kind of blew smoke about that. He's like, oh, well, I mean, to me, first to back up, my understanding of the timeline is there was some incident with the photos. Then months later, right after Lucas quits, T-Rex fires the guy that's behind it or whatever. Now, I don't really, and not to mention, they came out, like one of the few things that Isaac had to say in their statement was that they handled that wrong. They were wrong. He just flat out said it. Like, you handled that wrong. Okay. But John was like blowing smoke about it. Like, well, maybe they were like waiting for the police to do something, or there's a paperwork thing or a legal thing. And you just listen to that, like my belief listening to that, like, I think he knows what he's saying is not true. I think he's coordinated with other parts of the Bodkin crew, or he's got the scoop. And I think he's like putting up this smoke screen and be like, oh, we got to give him the benefit of the doubt because it could be all these things. And it's like, they already admitted they did wrong, for one. And for two, look at the timeline. Like, it's retarded to think that there was some like, oh, they were having law enforcement investigated or something. Bro, like, why would I think that's crazy? That's crazy. So I didn't like that part. That seemed really smarmy. Another thing he said, which I thought was a little funny, he's like, Lucas's language in his video, it looked like an olive branch put to the brothers, but really it was an axe. It was axe to the, it's like, no. Like, I listened to Lucas's video again very carefully, and to me it seemed like a fucking axe. He's like, no, he offered to buy them out, offered them more money to buy them out. They wouldn't have that. They clearly don't have any respect for him. I don't think they want to work together anymore. So then Lucas is like, cool, I'll go this direction. I'll quit, force a buyout, and then, take the road show somewhere else. That's what it's like. It doesn't sound like Lucas was putting out an olive branch. Now, when he was talking in his statement about how he'd forgiven his brothers and this and that, my read on that is that he's not mad at them. He's not like mad at these guys. He's just going to do what he's going to do now. It's just like, yep, we're done. I'm going this direction. I'm not really mad at them. I hope I can put it together or have a relationship with them in the future. But this is what's happening now. We tried carrot. Now we're doing stick. That's how I read Lucas's thing. All right. Yeah. Oh, another like one of the funniest parts of Lovell's thing was when he's like, the T-Rex guy's not making a long response to Lucas's video. That's like Jesus. That's like Jesus when he was accused of crimes and he kept his mouth shut. It's like I don't know if I would compare really anybody in the Botkin crew to Jesus. Like I just it seems kind of fucking crazy. Like honestly. Um, yeah, it was a very interesting podcast to listen to because again, what he's saying, I'm hanging that on the other brothers. I mean, I think he's like I think he's carrying water for like Isaac or for maybe for Lucas's dad. Um, maybe not. I mean, maybe they're not putting words in his mouth, but I think they're all rowing the same direction. So that's why I found that so interesting to listen to. And you guys should definitely go listen to it, form your own view of it. I recognize I'm kind of an asshole. Maybe not everybody's going to agree with me, but I've been in a lot of toxic relationships with people, and I hear like I'm hearing these things. I'm like, oh, the Lovell dude just wants to keep Lucas in this box where he's not allowed to say or do anything, or like he's basically holding Lucas responsible for his reaction to how he's been treated. And I think Lucas has been mistreated. I think he has. Another thing that really jumped out at me about Lucas's statement on re-listening to it was like that he didn't expect to be believed. He's like, oh, like people will think I'm overreacting or they're not going to believe this and this. And it's like when you hear like people who've been abused, they tend to have attitudes like that. And and the way that Lucas was talking, like I don't I don't think he's faking it. Like I don't think he's even aware of the kind of the psychological effect that the way he's been treated has had on him. I really don't. Anyway, that's my take on it. I think it's time to sit back and wait for the next chapter in the T-Rex Arms saga because to me, this is it's wildly entertaining. I love it.